are dehydrating, there's no fish in the lakes, good chance you're in fear. So the union of the fear of not having anything with the thought there's not enough is the feeling that says we're in lack, and that is the template that would be placed into the world promising there wouldn't be any rain. And he corrected me lovingly. He said, I didn't pray for rain, I prayed rain. And I said, what does that mean? He said, I simply went over to the field a few steps away from you. I took my shoes off. He said, I closed my eyes and I had the feeling of what it feels like to have my feet in the soggy mud of my home and the land outside of my house, to feel that mud ooze through my toes. He said, I felt the smell of rain coming off of the mud walls of our pueblos in the springtime. I felt what it would feel like to walk through waist-high corn this time of the year, as it should be, so that we would have our crops. I smelled those smells. I felt the feelings, and I knew in that moment that I had just created that, and that became my prayer. Now, what he was saying, this is key. It's subtle and it's key. What he said was that he was taught in his conditioning to acknowledge the power of his thought, feeling, and emotion. It's what we call faith. Faith has a very different definition today than it does in those indigenous traditions. Of the many ways that faith may be defined, what we could say is that faith is acknowledging our power as a directive, potent force in the scheme of creation, rather than simply an observer witnessing, that we are part of creation. What that means is the moment you think, feel, and emote something, you just created it. Now, maybe it didn't happen right in front of your face. Maybe it didn't happen even on the horizon where you can see it, and that's not important, because in your faith, you trust your power and your wisdom and the gift that lives within you, and you know that on some level, somewhere in creation, the seed was planted that will allow that to come to fruition. And now the prayer becomes a prayer of thanks for what you just created, even if you can't see it. And that was what he did. That's why it only took a couple of moments. He had the feelings, the thoughts, and the emotions. He knew that he had created something. Then he gave the prayer of thanks, and he did many times throughout the rest of that day. He gave reverent thanks to the forces of this world, to the creation, for allowing him the gift of creation and allowing what it was that he believed he created. Well, we said goodbye that day and went home that night. Something very interesting happened. That night, a storm came into northern New Mexico. It was a freak weather pattern where this mass of warm, humid air came up out of the Gulf and touched a cold air mass coming in over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and they had more rain than they knew what to do with. And I watched on the weather map. It was amazing. Whether his prayer actually created that effect or not, I cannot say scientifically. What I can say is that story beautifully illustrates the concept, maybe in a more concrete manner, that I'm offering. How many times we prayed for things? Is it possible that in praying for them that we have actually participated in the not having of them? We embody a sophisticated technology, and according to the ancient Essenes, it's in this lifetime we learn to think the thoughts of angels and to do as angels do. They reference the angels as the highly evolved life forms that have transcended this world and live in other worlds. In their wisdom, they were able to transcend. Was it possible that there is another technology available to us as this fifth mode of prayer? So the fifth mode of prayer is about creating the vibratory possibilities of that which you choose to experience in your world, and then giving thanks for what you've created. Maybe they'll happen sometimes, maybe they won't. What I do know is that in doing so, this is the union of those thought, feelings, and emotion, and this is us expressing that most sophisticated technology that we call prayer. feeling. We talk about feeling. What is a feeling anyway? What we call a feeling is actually an electrical and a magnetic potential moving through our body. This electromagnetic charge is moving in fluids across the membrane of the cell walls very, very quickly. Feeling is us moving energy around in our bodies. And that's what this prayer is all about. Prayer is about creating a feeling, and that feeling interacting with the energy that already exists within our bodies or within our world. So the Essenes actually left us an equation for prayer. If this, then this. If thought, feeling, and emotion are one, then the outcome is so. Now, this is a place where it's important for me to clarify. This mode of prayer is not simply a wish machine. What this mode of prayer does, it allows us to put into place the vibratory templates, the possibilities of an outcome. Okay, it doesn't guarantee anything's going to come to pass, number one. Number two, whatever it is that we create through this prayer, we experience in our bodies before the world ever experiences. And in our world, we're conditioned to only have a feeling about something in response to what's occurred. We have a feeling when we go outside of a nice day because there's a nice day there. The sun's warm, the air is dry, the wind is out of the south-southeast at 7 knots, and it feels great this time of year. Okay, so we respond to that and say we feel good. Now what if we walk outside and it's a little gloomy and a little stormy, and our tendency is to say, ooh, this doesn't feel good. What if in that moment we choose to have the good feeling even if our world doesn't give it to us? That's our power as creators, because that elicits the possibility of that template in our world. It is the knowing, it's the feeling that it's already accomplished. When thought, feeling, and emotion become one, then our outcome is accomplished. With that in mind, I'd like to go back and examine some quotes that I've found in some of the religious texts, perhaps a biblical text, maybe one of the Dead Sea Scrolls. In the book of James, in the King James Version of the biblical texts, the prayer made in faith will heal the sick. It's the faith that's already done. It's the faith that happened, and now this comes back to the 2 stories I shared with you this morning. The woman in the medicineless Chinese hospital with a 3-inch diameter cancerous tumor in her bladder that we watched in real time on a sonogram melt and disappear in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The practitioners were embodying a thought, feeling, and emotion inside of themselves, and the outward reinforcement of that among themselves was them echoing the words, wasa, wasa. It's already done, already accomplished, already healed. It already happened. The healing was already accomplished, and now it was just a matter of time. The prayer made in faith will heal the sick. The example that I gave of the elderly man with his walker who missed the curb, crumpled into the parking lot with a gash just below his ear in the back of his head. And the woman that came over and stroked his wound only for a matter of moments, and it healed so completely when the paramedics got there within 5 minutes, there was no wound. The blood remained on his neck, it was still staining his shirt, and there was no wound on his body. What did she do? She didn't buy into the illusion of what his physical body had shown him. The 3 Chinese practitioners didn't buy into the illusion projected through the body of the woman on the gurney in front of them. They knew that she is not cancerous, that she in her soul is whole and complete and as shiny and new as the day she burst forth from the heart of her Creator into this world. They knew that. And they also allowed for the possibility that through her choices of thought, feeling, emotion, breath, nutrient, and movement, her body is mirroring this illusion. So they didn't buy into the illusion. They created a new template. They said, already healed, already done. And that's what the woman did, as I spoke with her later, that healed the back of the man's neck. And here we see it now in a 2,000-year-old text. The prayer made in faith will heal